Howdy, my fellow wood gas bug bite neck nip victims. Remember the new nozzle thingy I made, the one that's offset? I've been having me some ideas about making a torrefaction system. Is it torrefaction? Anyway, what I've done in order to realise this is I've added a section of, I think it's 8-inch diameter, heavy walled steel tube pipe to the underside of the nozzle system. So you can see the original nozzle system with its 3 nozzles inside sticking out the sides here. So I've got a couple of inches of steel pipe below and a fair old bit sitting above. The idea is that the fuel is going to sit in this, and this will all get really hot, which will de-waterificate, that's a scientific word, the fuel, heat it up, partially charcoal it, and hopefully it will run cleaner because of that. Now, to get the fuel down to it, I've got this. It's a piece of chimney flue. Yes, that's right, chimneys can fly. This one flew in a strong wind, that is. And that will run all the way up to the top of the hopper. So instead of the hopper diameter being way out here filled with wood, it's going to be only here filled with wood. The rest of it's just open space, which should allow this to get hotter and not dump heat into the fuel. Hopefully that means that the gasifier's internals will get hotter anyway, because we no longer have cool fuel resting against the wall of it. Now, whether this works or not, I have no idea. It may be a big, fat, juicy waste of time, but hey, you gotta try something in order to know that it was a dead waste of time. If this doesn't work, you probably won't see the video. Yep. But so that there, I'll be putting back into the gasificator and getting it up and running, see what happens. It's going to need a clean out though, because I think there's a fair bit of charcoal stuck down below the hearth assembly. So that's the next little old thing to do. Wish me luck, boys and girls. Here we are at the next stage of the installation process. The nozzle assembly that you saw in the last video has been reinstalled, and you can see how the 3 nozzles sit above the opening to the hearth, below which you can see the curtain formed by the lower section of steel pipe that I've got on there. The idea of that is that the heat being radiated from the reaction under the nozzles will be coupled into that metalwork and transferred up to the upper section of steel pipe, and then hopefully into any fuel that's there. Then hopefully we'll have us a clean run maybe, and one that's got less moisture in it. Next thing is to get that, or this little fella here, and set it in place. A bit hard to do at the moment. I'll need to interrupt the video. The fuel pipe, so to speak, has been installed. I'll need to fine tune this a bit because it's a bit wobbly, but you can see there's a big old gap around it to the outline of the hopper wall. What I'm hoping is that this inner pipe, stainless steel this one, will get a lot hotter and drive off the moisture. So instead of the moisture going down with the burn, it will tend to congregate in the hopper area, which might start to work more as a moderator than a hopper. We'll see about that. If this actually works, I'll put in the extra effort and make a funnel sort of thing to go between that wall and that wall, so as when you put the fuel in, it guides itself in. It's like a funnel. But that is the state of play at the moment. Lighting this might be a bit of a challenge because I actually had to light it down there at the bottom of it all. But maybe that can be done by taking this pipe out, light it and put it back in, sort of thing. We'll see how that works out as really I have no idea if this is going to work, and if it doesn't, oh well. I'll just go back to how it was before, because it's been moderately goodish. Alrighty, my fellow venom recipients. Okay, it's the next day. The experiments I was trying to do with my Torrefaction pipe had to come to an end because the camera couldn't see in the darkness. Here's the primary flare. It's pretty hard to see. It's a very faint orange kind of colour there. We'll just blow out the flames. See if we can see the gas that's feeding it. Yep, that is visible. I guess that's to be expected. The gasifier is still dead cold, and this is the unfiltered gas stream. Set fire to it again. It does look really quite pretty. Now let's have a look down inside the hopper, because it is now somewhat unrecognisable, really, in comparison to how it used to be. See if I can get a good look down inside there. Right, so all around the Torrefaction, oh that's hot, getting burned by the flames. Just point the camera better. Right, so that stainless steel tube there is the Torrefaction fuel column. I accidentally spilled a bit of charcoal down it while trying to fill the area around its perimeter. What I'm trying to do with that charcoal around it, like that, is to seal it so the only gas flow into the hopper is through this nozzle system that the Torrefaction pipe sits on. And this pipe we see here is now where the fuel goes. So instead of this area all around, it's going to be just this. So we're down to maybe a quarter, perhaps a third of the total volume for fuel. But so far it is yielding some surprisingly good results. As that flame, oh, I could eat that all up. Or maybe not, because it might be a bit hot and melt my fillings, but you know what I mean. Maybe the engine can eat it. So what I'm hoping to see is that column of fuel in there will slowly sink by itself without the need for stoking or anything like that as the system consumes it. So the next thing is to dump a bunch of fuel down into that and let this thing heat up and run the engine. The next thing I've got to do is figure out how to make some sort of a funnel to connect with that so as to assist pouring the fuel into the system. I'm thinking I might use one of these. That's a lid off an LPG cylinder. And I'm thinking, yeah, all I have to do is just get one of those, turn it into a kind of wok like I've done here, and set that so as it sort of sit level with the seal here to become the fuel dumping point. That makes sense. Anyway, we'll get a bit of fuel and put it in there, close this lid because it's operating in a mixture of FEMA and invert mode at the moment, and take it from there. Oops, the flare's gone out. Could be that it needs to be stoked because there is no vibration at the moment. Okay, it's got some fuel in it now. It's a bit of a challenge to pour it in there without it going all around the area about, so I do need a funnel of some kind. And we'll see how this works out, whether the fuel just slides down that without any problems, or whether I get tar like this all around the wall of this, causing it to get jammed. The idea of this whole thing is that the metal work that you saw right side on the before I installed this, couples heat from the burn zone. Instead of letting it leak out into the area all around, you see it's no burn, no smoke or anything, and instead of letting it leak out, it heats up this metalwork, which in turn transfers some of that heat to the fuel and perhaps torrefies it a little bit in order to make it drier and better for use with the gas supply. At first glance, yeah, there it is. It's difficult to see. A nice orange flame. At first glance, it actually appears to be working. So the next little thing is to pump that gas through to the final filter, the final flare that is, and see whether it's still running as nice as it looks. I'm pretty sure it's going to be just fine. And it'll eventually get that green flame that I've always wanted. Actually, what I would like is a green flame with unicorns dancing in it. That is the holy grail. Alright, there's the rubbishy blue flare that this engine is going to be eating. I just hope it's good enough, eh? At the moment, that flare stands about, I don't know, 13, 14 inches tall. It's really hard to see. It's the kind of thing you really want to view at night time, so it's really the only light source. But I ain't waiting for that. I want to yank the rope and make electricity happen. So, hopefully, Sir Grunts a lot down there will like what I prepared for his dinner plate. And success. Burned and started after 3 or 4 pulls on the rope. And it's running very nicely indeed. It's all still cold right now, so only when it warms up will it really pick up speed. Let's have a look at the exhaust. See what it smells like. Not a thing. No, it still blows me away. That exhaust is the product of a series of burning processes, yet there's just no smell to it. That's just amazing. Alrighty, my fellow wooden watters, you're looking at what I'm hoping is going to become a fuel funnel for the top of my newly developed torrefaction system. You saw me putting fuel in, or at least messing around with the torrefaction inlet and seeing how difficult it was to get the fuel to go in there. This piece here occupies 95% of the space available in the opening once the lid of the hopper is lifted. And of course we have a natural funnel shape here going down to some steel pipe whose outer diameter conveniently encompasses the stainless steel pipe that I'm using as the new fuel hopper. In the background you can hear the gasifier engine running. It's been going for a few hours today, and it has provided all of the power required to cut this gas container in half. Mental note, don't cut a full one, it goes with quite a bang, eh? Anyway, and it rings too, so yeah, well anyway, cut that little fella in half and installed a hole in it to line up nicely with the steel pipe that lines this up, using a number of power tools, some of which are sitting here, all powered by treacle. So not only was the treacle charging the house battery and keeping my food cool in the fridge and all, keeping the lights on, that directly powered the power tools that have allowed me to make this piece. It's interesting to observe that, yeah, the new Torrefaction system it does seem to be paying off, in that the fuel in it stays dry, whereas in the previous arrangement the fuel was becoming quite wet. You could reach in and touch the fuel. It was like an Amazonian rainforest in there. Now I'm finding that the fuel's staying dry, and any moisture that's in it simply goes into the walls of the existing hopper, or the previous version of the hopper, thereby creating something along the lines of a moderator. I won't be able to fit this to the gasifier just yet as well. It's too smoky and hot in there, so I'll have to wait until it has run out of fuel and cooled off. Meanwhile, perhaps a little musical interlude is in order. More to come once I join part A with part B. Alrighty then, here it is. It's not centered yet and there's nothing to support it, so it will fall in if I gave it a push. But the idea must be obvious now, how it works. The lid is still closable and openable. And now, when I put fuel in, I can be quite careless. Just kind of chuck it in. Okay, that one missed. There we go. Yep, so now the fuel ought to guide its way down into the pits of hell down there without assistance. And I would like to think that the vibration from the engine and the shakers will rattle that fuel down. My plan is to put bolts through the wall of the hopper, maybe 3 of them, and they'll work a bit like the legs of a stool. This will simply sit on them, and that's really all it has to do. It doesn't have to be secured in any way. Its weight will hold it in place, and those 3 bolts that I put through will help to line it up. I'm pretty much out of TikTok for now though, so this will be tomorrow's little endeavour. But so far, yeah, all this effort has actually been worth it. How will this change it when I put this all in there? Will it reverse some of the work I'm trying to do? Maybe, I don't know. But if it's a problem, maybe I could put holes around here or something to let moisture out or in or whatever it needs. As you can probably tell, it's very experimental. That's what it is, experimental. This is the first test of the new funnel system for the fuel. It all fits together quite nicely, and it's so much easier to put the fuel in it now. Recently added was a set of bolts. There's one there, and one round the corner here. They stick in like 3 little noodles. The purpose of them being to sort of cradle this bowl here. Stops it from moving around too much. Doesn't matter if it moves a little bit though. As you'll see, there's a gap here and not over here. It's not particularly well centered, but it doesn't matter. What really matters is that it guides the fuel into the Torrefaction system, which so far does appear to have been appears to be paying off. Here's the primary flare, unfiltered. It's a mixture of blue and orange. Let's try blowing out the flame and lighting him again. Right, as you can see, thick, choking, tar-laden smoke. Not. That's still cold. I lit the gasifier maybe 5 minutes ago and it started out like that. Normally I'd expect maybe some yellow and other dirt in the cold outflow from the gasifier, but no, it's actually very friendly coloration there. I have noticed that the gasifier is running cleaner than it was before, and the filter lasts much longer between cleanouts. So at the moment it would appear that the effort I put into this is paying off. Well, talking of ideas and things, I had to change this a little bit. You may remember this latch system I made that goes under this bracket, I guess you call it. I added a magnet, and what that does is it pulls this back towards it, sort of like a spring. The idea being that when you close the lid, the vibrations won't open it. In the past I found that this used to keep opening like that, and then when they went pop, the lid would fly open and all the wood gas bugs would get in. Now with that, it stands up to the vibration and allows this part, the spring-loaded lid retainer, to do its job. So that was a worthwhile little addition. I also added this lever here that you squeeze to open that catch. Yep, so it's all good. The wood gas bug venom is definitely producing some great results. Well, the next step really is to run this gas through to the other end of the gasifier and get ready to start the grunter so I can get some electricities. And here we are at the other end of the system. There is a flame coming out of that, I promise. It's about maybe 12 inches-ish in height. And it's a disgusting pale blue. Pretty useless really, isn't it? But, well, I guess I don't really need any more tar to finish off my driveway. Alright, so that's working very nicely. Next thing now is to make some noise with the Grunt-O-Matic 9000. A few minutes later, even though the gasifier is still dead cold, the engine is going quite nicely. It's worth having a look at the fuel dryer, as you'll see the cyclone action occurring in there. I don't know whether the cyclone does any good, but it still looks cool, right? And the final piece to silence it makes a big difference, don't you think? Let's have a sniff of the exhaust. It just blows me away. I can't smell anything in there at all. At the moment, the gas coming out of there is actually cold. Just goes to show how fresh the engine start is for the day. Let's have a look at the aerometer. Let's see, 1,897 hours so far. So it won't be too long before I hit the 2,000 mark eventually. So, free electricity. I can afford that. Okie dokie. 1 hour later, I have a couple of new observations to add to the mix. I think I'll shut the engine off soon and show you what thoughts have occurred to me at the moment. Let's have a look at the hopper. notice there's not much smoke in there, barely any really, and I've cheated. I've got this little thing here to let the air leak past the lid. I'll just shut this down. Poor little engine. Okay, you'll notice this metal has become kind of shiny and black. That happened within the first half an hour. And what I noticed is that there was moisture coming from the lid, running down the sides of the bowl and jumping into the fuel, basically undoing what I was trying to achieve with the torrefaction system. It didn't succeed though, because the engine's running cleaner than it has for a while, even with this. But after that half an hour had passed, an idea occurred to me, and that was to put this little thing here to basically defeat the lid seal. So a little bit of air, not much, gets in through here, and what it seems to be doing is it's driving that moisture away, and instead of allowing it to accumulate, it's running away, maybe down the column or somewhere else. I don't really know. Now when I tried this without this torrefaction system in there, the idea failed dismally. It just had no effect. So what I'm going to do is, with Mr. Drillsby here, I'm going to install a little hole in the lid, maybe here, whatever. It's a very small driller, but the idea is to insert a hole. That way I don't have to worry about putting this thing on each time. The idea being to bring the air in, and if it's a problem I can simply stick a bolt in that hole in order to undrill it. So back in a momento. Alrighty, the evil deed has been done. You can see a little bit of smoke coming out of that hole. And what I'm hoping is that it will have the same effect as that little block I had in there for the lid. If not, well, I'll just block that hole up. Maybe it needs another hole here, or on the opposite side, so there's more even airflow into this. Everything's experimental at the moment, but I must say I'm rather impressed at the changes. This little thing that I've added to the gasifier, I'm really impressed at the improvement that it's made. Is getting a clean flame here from startup, and I did actually check this. I should have included it in the video. The clarity of the flare. What I could maybe do is do that right now. Just close the delivery valve, open the primary flare valve. Got my trusty cigarette lighter here. Turn on the startup blower. Right, there we have it. It's a bit bigger now, but we have a blue-orange flare. Mostly blue. That still blows me away that I can get such a clean flare from pine wood, chunks of pine made from warehouse pallets, or whatever you call those things that you put in warehouses to move around with your fork truck. That just blows me away, and the engine seems to like it too, so neither of us will be complaining. Okie dokie, the hole has been installed. Now I'm going to do something really stupid. Here we go. It didn't even explode. Sweet! I get to live another day. Well, maybe I'll come back an hour later and see whether that has hopefully done anything for the quality of the conditions inside the hopper. Ciao for now. Okay, it's 1 hour later now. The engine is running very nicely indeed. It's running very smoothly. What I found just recently is that the whole system is breathing much easier, and I'm able to open the air valve a lot more and still have the engine run well. So it means the vacuum demand on the engine is nowhere near as great as it used to be. Let's have a look at the hopper. I've got 2 holes in there now. There's one, and there's the first one that I drilled in front of the camera. Let's have a look inside. There's a little bit of smoke, but really nothing compared with how it used to be. In the early days, it used to smoke up solid, and you had to set fire to it each time to get rid of it. Now it's just a little bit of a puff. As a result of this, the fuel is staying dry. Even this part is dry now. You can see the dust on there. It hasn't become wet. Because the fuel is drier, the whole system is running much better. I'm mighty thrilled with that. Yep, no complaints whatsoever. The tank on this is much smaller now, so it runs about an hour to each fill. That's not so bad. I'll put up with that. No complaints here, boys and girls.